Shalom, and welcome to a message for the Parsha for Parshat Bo. In this week's Parsha, we read about the final three makot. That's the last three plagues that God inflicted on the Egyptians, and then, of course, the exodus of Egypt. How we, that is our ancestors, left the enslavement, the bondage of Egypt. But prior to doing so, even though Hashem had promised that they're going to leave, and already set into motion the exodus, that is, through inflicting the 10 plagues over the Egyptians, yet Hashem wanted us to do certain acts, something, in order to deserve it, in order to earn it, so to speak. What was that act? What was that major thing that Hashem wanted us to do? That is the offering of the Korban Pesach, the Passover offering, the lamb, which they had to slaughter on the 14th of Nisan. And then on the 15th, that is the night of the 15th, they ate from this lamb. And by midnight, by the time they finished consuming the lamb, that's when the 10th plague struck. That is the slaying of the firstborn, and that's when they were told by Pharaoh, you guys are free to go, and in the morning they left. Now, if we examine the aspects, the details of this very important mitzvah, which Hashem gave us as a prerequisite to leave Egypt, we get a sense, a direction of what's expected of us as Jews, how we're supposed to live as Jews, as a people, as a nation. I just want to focusing, that is, on one of the many aspects of this mitzvah. You see, it wasn't that every single Jew had to bring his own lamb. That would be impossible. How is one person meant to consume an entire lamb in one night and you not leave anything over? It was meant to be consumed on that night, the night of the Seder of Pesach. Well, the way it worked is that many people came together and collectively offered this lamb, and they were divided amongst themselves, each person eating his piece, at least a minimum of the halachic minimum for eating, which is kazayit, which literally means like an olive, the size of an olive, about an ounce and a half, and that's where you fulfilled your obligation. See, but in order for this to be counted, meaning in order for one to be counted on the actual lamb, one had to officially register for it. In other words, there were groups formed, and you had to register with the group, and your registration was contingent upon the fact that there is at least a minimum amount available for you to eat. And you have to be part of that group. And then later, it wasn't enough to be part of the group and you can come and just pick up your piece of meat and go to your own house. Oh no. If you're part of a group, and in fact there are pages and pages in the Talmud, discussion of all the nitty-gritty and the details about these laws, when it's good, when it works, when it doesn't, what happens if one didn't do so, whatever. The basic point of the law is that one is part of a group, one has to eat together with a group. One has to be in the same place as that group, not only in the same building, but perhaps if it's a big building, in the same room, in the same dining hall, together with your group. In other words, you cannot be isolated. You cannot eat it in exclusivity of everyone else. You need to be together with everyone else. See, this is a tremendous lesson. This is so important. It's true that on the one hand, Judaism is a very individualized thing. For example, if I'm traveling alone, that doesn't exempt me from putting on my tefillin. I still have a personal obligation to put on tefillin. But on the other hand, when it comes to the major observances of Judaism, and some of the most important aspects of Judaism, we find that you can only do it in a setting of a community. You can only do it if you have, for example, a minyan, or it has to be done in a communal setting. It is an obligation of the community. It is a privilege of the community. So many things like that. And likewise, we find some things where the great emphasis is on coming together with family. This is what Hashem was teaching us. To be a Jew, you cannot be a Jew in isolation. To be a Jew, one of the hallmarks, one of the fundamentals of Judaism is coming together as a community. What is the benefits of it? Of course, first of all, the fact that we get together gives us so much more power, gives us so much more strength. Because think about it. Each Jew contains within him, within her, a spark of God, an energy, a godly energy, a soul, a neshama. Imagine when that all comes together, how much more amplified and increased is that special power, that special godly energy. That's number one. But also think of it practically speaking. When you're part of a community, you learn from the community. You enjoy that continuance of Judaism, that inspiration, that effect that a community can have on you in a positive manner. When one isolates oneself, one doesn't get to enjoy that. And sadly, that becomes the beginning, the catalyst of, sadly, assimilation or deterioration from one's Judaism. So a lesson in short is get together with the community, get together with family. This is why we find Friday night, technically you can eat your own meal in your own cubicle, but you don't do it that way. You get together with community. It comes to the Seder. What is the typical thing on one's mind? Who we're doing the Seder with? Where are we going? Where are we getting together? This is not something which is a modern invention. This has been all the way, this way, all the way back from the very, very beginning. Shabbat Shalom.